Hey everyone, Mike here. I'm going to show you a real simple craft fur minnow that I tie up. And when I say simple, I really do mean it. We're going to prepare some materials, and this right here is a swatch of some craft fur that I have on my Etsy store. This stuff's really easy to work with. It's actually got a backing on it that looks like, it's like a skin or something, but it's not. It's just a material that's kind of infused into a fabric material that's holding the fibers in. And then what I do is I take this material and I brush it out, just like you see here. And then I will grab it and squeeze it together like so. And then I've got these extra long sewing scissors. They're really heavy duty, and I'm telling you, they do a really good job, as you'll see here. I want to get as close to that backing as I can as I cut through those fibers. Okay, just toss this out, lay your materials back down. Looks like a mess, but you'll get it. I'll get it. It's probably better to show you that it does kind of want to give you fits sometimes. Okay, so we got a pile of material there, and what we want to do is get that under fur. You can see that dark line down through. All we want is the long fibers. And to get rid of those long fibers, what we do is I made this this holder that holds the long fibers in place. I'll gather them together like that. All it is a chip brush where I removed the brush section and laminated this piece of EVA foam to the wood. And I'll cut my EVA foam first and put it on there, and then I'll mark it with a pencil. That way I know where to put my contact cement, just regular contact cement. I'll put contact cement on the wood and then contact cement on the back of the EVA, and then let it dry, and then you put it on, and now you got yourself a good non-slip holder for these fibers that you're going to pull out. So what you want to do is try and get as close to that heavy stuff as you can, and then it's not going to take too many times. You just kind of brush it out just like that. Okay, and that leaves you with all the long stuff, and that took out all the short stuff right there. Makes it so much easier to pull all that short crap out of there. So go ahead and clean it up and just toss this part away. All right, so now we're going to take this, grab our table, and bring it around and put it up. Well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I need to put the thread on. Actually, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. What I'm going to do, if I can find it, where did it go? Here we go. This is just regular soldering solder, and this is the thin stuff. I'm not real sure what the thickness of it is, but I'll have it in the description on the video. And you see how easy. I'll just tear a piece of it off there, and then I'll go ahead up to my fly, and I'll put it on. I'll probably put, I don't know, about 5 or 6 wraps on here, and the tail part of my start on the wraps, I'll tighten it up by just spinning around, and then I'll take the hold it steady and take my fingers and just cut it off, and then again just spin it around so you have yourself a little bit of weight there. That'll help pull that weight, your fly, down into the water, even if you're using a floating line. All right, and then I'll just go ahead and grab it like this, pull it back, put a little dam there, and run across and cover that up. And that's just a matter of just going back and forth a couple times. Okay, and then take it back to the bend of the hook. Forward, cut your tag end off, obviously. And now we're going to use the table. So bring that table up. There's a lot of ways you can do your brushes. You do your brushes however you want. I just really think that this is about one of the easiest ways to make them. And you just make your adjustments as you need to. You want about a, you probably can't see this. Oh, maybe you can right there. All right, so the hook is coming straight out. You do not want the table to be like this on the hook. If you do, you're going to have a hard time taking your bob and you're being stopped here. So if you have it like this, you'll be able to build your your brush, and then you're still going to be able to get in there. And then that way, when you get the brush made, you'll see here in a minute, and then you'll be able to do this a lot easier to keep it together. And sometimes I get to rambling. Anyway, let's go ahead and check on this down here. And this is pretty simple. You just take your cut and thinned out underfur. You take it, bunch it up, and then just lay it down on top of your thread. And I'll show you. You want to really spread this out. Actually, I think I might have this a little bit on the thick side, so I'm going to pull some of this off. Okay, there we go. So now on the back side here, you're going to want your thread to be going right down the center as much as possible. And then as it tapers back, you're going to want the thread to go to where the back end, this is where the tail of the fly is going to be. You want that to be where it's hanging over just about a ½ inch or so. And then as you come up to the front here, you can have it hanging over probably about, I don't know, 3/4 inch or so, just so that you get that taper, so that when you bring your, I use this right here. It's a frother for frothing up your creamers for your coffee, and I just modified it with a hook on the end here. I might have these for sale on my Etsy store, so you don't have to go and do the cutting and the bending, because this is pretty hard. This is a very hard wire, and it doesn't want to bend too easily. So anyway, we're going to take that and run it up just like I'm showing you here. And then you want that to close up towards the hook, and that will keep your material locked in. And then you can run it up. And again, keep the longer part towards the back. And then as you come up towards the center, keep it all spread out. And it'll look just about like that right there. And then when I hit my button, it makes a rope, and you want to thin that rope out. So you can do it by just taking your wire brush, whichever one you like. I like this real little one here. I just feel like I got more control on brushing out the fibers away from the thread, so that it doesn't bunch up and you got a great big old rope around your thread. That rope will not allow you to lay your materials down as nicely as you would like to. Sometimes you might have to kind of go back and forth a little bit, side to side, front to back, and then what that'll do is that'll clear that out really nicely there. Okay, so then I use these loom hackle pliers and grab my material, and I'll go ahead and let's do this. I'll go ahead and run this forward, and then I got it kind of closed up there a little bit, so we'll grab the material there. Okay, so we're going to run the thread all the way to the front. We're going to bring this up here. You can wet your fingers a little bit and pull it back. When you do that, what you're wanting to see is that thread going down through there. If you can see the thread, you're good. If you don't, if your fibers are covering that thread up, you might want to try to brush it out again a little bit. But you can also just go with what you got. This stuff is pretty forgiving, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Your experience will find that sweet spot of your technique to palmer this material around the hook back up towards the front of the hook. So as I'm making these wraps here, I'm not doing touching wraps. I'm trying to do spiraling wraps as much as possible towards the front, a pretty wide spiral, because what that'll do is it'll help lay this stuff down thinner on your hook. And that'll also allow you to have material to build around the head. And then when you get up to the head right here, you will want to do a couple touching wraps, because those touching wraps will allow you to build up that head that you need to get that teardrop shape in there. All right, so now what I'm doing here is I'm separating out the fibers a little bit so that I can have a channel for my thread to go down through. I'll pull it back up. Actually, I'm going to take the pliers off and pull the material back as much as possible. Now I'll build up the head, just like that. Pretty easy. Now I'm kind of putting some pressure on this thread as I wrap it around here to try and form it the way I want to get a nice formed head there. So once I get to that point, I can go ahead and go in there and try and find my thread again, if I can. Actually, it looks like I laid it down and covered the thread, so we're actually pretty good. All right, so we'll go ahead and do a couple more wraps, and then I'll put some CA glue or super glue on the thread. You only want a little dab to come out of the top of your nozzle there, and then you'll just want to spread it on. Now you'll just go ahead and take your whip finisher and run it around, and that saturated thread is going to help your thread from falling apart on you when you get into the next step of building this fly. That is to take it and reverse brush it down in a couple of different ways. What that's doing is it's separating all those fibers from any possible overlaps that you did. If you did good spiraling wraps, it probably won't be a problem for you. Okay, so one of the things that I did with that super glue is I put a little bit too much and it grabbed some of my fibers. So what I do to take care of that is I'll take the fibers and cover them with my fingers, and then take a small lighter and clean it up. And then that way you've got yourself a really nice shaped, teardrop shaped minnow right there. Now that'll fish just as it is. You don't, I mean, I don't really embellish them too much. I might do it while I'm tying, because most guys are saying, why didn't you put eyes on it? Why didn't you color it? Why didn't you put a red dot? Well, it's because mostly it's the shape and the action when you're fishing it. I can show you that when I'm out on the water sometime. But okay, if you want eyes and color and that sort of thing, I've got one right here. I want to make sure everybody's happy when they leave. All right, so there's one with the coloring. It's not a great job, but I just colored it up just so you can see what you can do. I do the top there with a, I really kind of wish I'd have had a gray Sharpie, because then it wouldn't be so contrasty. And then use a good dark black Sharpie to get the shad dots. And then up underneath there, I'll put, I even might put a red dot on the bottom of my, all of my flies. I do kind of like the red dot. And then you can put your, whatever kind of eyes you like to use on it, and then encapsulate those eyes with some UV. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. I really just don't do that much. My fly box is going to have flies that are pretty much going to look like that. Anyway, this is a very simple minnow to make, and I really believe that this table right here makes it so that it's so much easier to put your brush together, to wrap and put on here. So anyway, this is Mike. Be sure to check out the website, comment below, like, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Till the next video, we'll catch you later.